All right, now we're going to call the meeting to order. Can we all please stand and face the pledge? I'll ask the Borough President to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We will start with attendance. All members of the board are here. Can I just have somebody take a quick look at the minutes, please? And can I have an acceptance of the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Dana, second. Okay, we have not had any correspondence. Okay, so we're going to move right along to our first presentation. We have the city clerk here who is going to give a brief discussion on a new amnesty program that he's going to be offering. So we'll turn the floor right over.
Very place for
Sit here so you're on the camera.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Michael McSweeney. I'm the city clerk of the city of New York, and I am visiting all 5 of the city's borough boards to announce the lobbying amnesty program that is being initiated by the New York City Lobbying Bureau. The Office of the City Clerk oversees the New York City Lobbying Bureau, and anyone who is lobbying New York City government officials is required under certain circumstances to register as a lobbyist and to comply with the reporting requirements of the New York City lobbying law. So in 2013, the City Council passed legislation that amended the lobbying law to do several things to improve the law, and one thing that the law did was allow for a 6-month amnesty period to take place. There is a feeling that there is a universe of individuals, entities, and people that maybe don't know about the requirements of the lobbying law, or maybe they have avoided registering as lobbyists to avoid the late fees, which are really the teeth that we use to require people to comply with their duties under the lobbying law. So in order to help people to come in out of the cold, if maybe you're aware of the lobbying requirements and you have chosen not to apply because you may be required to pay late fees, or you're not aware of that, the law authorizes us to have this amnesty period. And the rule that authorizes this just passed, so we're here to make the announcement. So the amnesty period will take place from January 1st, 2016, and will end on June 30th, 2016. We are visiting, any place that we can do outreach on this. One place that I want to start with are the borough boards, because I am also a former member of Community Board 2 of Queens, and I'm aware of the activities that go on the community board level, and I think there is no better place for us on the local level, everywhere in the city, to go and announce this. So I'm here with my staff, and we'll be reaching out to each one of the community boards to request an opportunity to do outreach at your boards. So let me just briefly introduce my staff. I'm joined by Patrick Sinmoy, my general counsel. Hello. Damaris Acosta, deputy city clerk. And Jessica Fiorillo, who is our director of training. And Jessica will be contacting your offices to set up training. Jessica is also a Staten Island resident. Not that there's any harm in mentioning that. Okay, very good.
Well, at least in Staten Island, there's no harm. Okay.
All right.
You mentioned in City Hall too.
Okay, I'll try my best. We are going to be handing out this pamphlet that we tried to simplify the lobbying law onto a one-page brochure. And we would ask any person or entity that has a contract with the city or that interacts with city government officials in any context, particularly in the real estate context and the land use context, people who are not registered as lobbyists but are doing that may be required to do so under the law. So as we're approaching this amnesty period, and as the amnesty period is happening, we're asking any such persons or entities to review our brochure and ask themselves the 3 steps, to kind of like review these 3 steps and see whether or not their activities are covered by the law. So step 1, is your organization lobbying? There are 11 types of activity that are considered lobbying under the law. We ask you to review them. And there are examples on the brochure. The second step is to ask whether or not your organization's activity are excluded from the lobbying law. There are 11 exclusions for lobbying certain types of activity. For example, if you're answering an RFP, you would not be lobbying by contacting city officials. The 11 exclusions are listed here. And then the third and the most important step in asking whether or not you are covered by the lobbying law is, has your organization reached the reporting threshold? The reporting threshold is $5,000 annually in combined compensation and expenses in a calendar year. And if your entity reaches that $5,000 threshold, you may be required to report under the law. Okay, so that is why I'm here, and we think this is a great opportunity for not-for-profits or any organization in any context that contacts city government to take advantage of this opportunity to report your activity and begin filing lobbying reports without any fear of late fees for any previous lobbying that you may have done and not reported to us. So that's it, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from City Clerk?
Okay, so please expect, so I would just ask that the chair people of the community boards to please take this back to your district managers, to your committee chairs, and please ask everyone to announce that this lobbying amnesty program is starting January 1st, and we expect to get a call from our office, and we'll be hoping to set up an outreach opportunity. And if you know of any groups that can benefit from a presentation, we would like very much have an opportunity to reach out to them. Okay? Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Good seeing you.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I don't know if you want to stay. We have a long meeting if you want to excuse yourself.
Well, get out when it's getting good.
Exactly.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you guys. Thank you. Be well. Good to see you. Take care. We'll see
We
you.
have a little more room now if everyone wants to find a seat. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next issue, which are the Department of City Planning text amendments. We're going to forego the formal presentation since we have all seen them and the boards have already voted on them. But we do have Barry Fisher and Eric Kober here from City Planning if anybody should need a clarification or have a question. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Borough President and so he can address the board.
Sure. Thank you. Two things before I get into the items on the agenda. One, I want to publicly authorize my Chief of Staff, Jason Reshevsky, to expend the money to get the chairman of the
They're ordered.
Oh, thank you.
Joe Morelli's is offered too. They're ordered. We're just waiting for them.
And the second thing, I just want to get on the record that the city clerk referenced that they took the law and they simplified it down to this pamphlet. When I was in the council, and Councilmember Matteo will remember this well, and as will Sally Goldenberg, the intrepid reporter in the corner, we passed a law that mandated the Department of Finance to take the convoluted process to calculate our property taxes as homeowners and simplify it into common sense language, into a pamphlet like this. They did. It's 16 pages long. And so all of us who pay property taxes, whether we are Class 1 or Class 2 property, it is the least transparent process in all of city government. And even our efforts to make it digestible, led to a document that's, you need a couple of formal degrees to understand. On the topic at hand, the two items. I don't know how many of you saw this edition of City and State. City and State does every year a borough-specific issue. And last month was Staten Island's, and they asked us here at Borough Hall to do an op-ed piece about how we see our borough. And the first sentence in what we wrote, I don't think is a controversial statement. It simply says Staten Island is different than the rest of the city. And I think anytime we talk about a broad policy or a citywide initiative, we need to be cognizant of the fact that Staten Island is different than the rest of the city. And my favorite sentence in our op-ed piece is a simple one, and to drive the point home, it says, and yet while we are remarkably dissimilar to the rest of New York City, we are remarkably similar to America as a whole. Staten Island is, wants to be, and should remain a bedroom community. And all policies and initiatives that come from all levels of government, for us, we see them through that prism, that we have to protect the essence and the character of what this community is, why people choose to live here. At the same time, and what makes this such a wonderful point in time in history of this island, is that we have unique and remarkable things happening on two different shores. You have the West Shore, which is our jobs coast, and which is the economic driver that will create lots of employment opportunities. And here on the North Shore corridor, you have some really amazing things happening that include a residential component. And I will speak solely for myself, I am open to the idea of increased density if it achieves a bigger end, a greater end, and that is revitalizing the waterfront, reclaiming the communities, triggering new investment, and lifting communities. So more specifically to the two items at hand, on ZQA, I think practically speaking, it probably has a negligible impact on Staten Island with the exception of senior housing. And when we talk about senior housing on Staten Island, we want low density housing. We don't want the apartment types housing. And so this has sort of been communicated to the good folks at City Planning, to Chairman Weisbrod, about the need to look at senior housing on Staten Island in the same context as the rest of the vision of housing on Staten Island, and that is in terms of low density. Moreover, we plan in our ULURP recommendation to include language that suggests and asks and recommends that all lower density growth management areas be removed from the ZQA waivers, whether it's a waiver for bulk or for lot coverage or parking. I think the term they use is income restricted housing, but parking for senior housing, or we want to be affirmatively removed from that, again, in appreciation of the fact that this borough is different than the other parts of the city. With this respect to MIH, and I've shared this with the Chairman Weisbrod, who I want to talk about before I conclude. I'm concerned about what I see as the lack of predictability about setting these processes in motion. Again, 2 years into being borough president, I think I have an even clearer understanding of who we are as an island and what we want to be. And job one is protecting the essence of what this community is, and protecting the fact that we are overwhelmingly a bedroom community. And I can't take a leap of faith on policies that I think are unpredictable in what they will result in. And I think all of us as Staten Islanders in this room know that because of lack of infrastructure, because of the fact that we are, for the most part, a one-family detached or semi-detached community, we don't want high-rise apartment buildings. And if there is going to be, as I said earlier, a move towards density, it has to be specifically in corridors that I believe have a bigger goal. Again, that is to reclaim an area, to lift the community, We want to see in those areas housing that allows us to retain young people, creative Staten Islanders who would normally migrate to other areas. We want to create safe and affordable housing for our seniors. We want to create workforce housing. And I have said this to many of you. I will say this publicly now. The AMI issue is critical in my judgment. I want to see an emphasis placed on choosing the option of 120% AMI. I want to see communities lifted up. I want to see mixed income. I don't want to exacerbate long-standing underlying problems. And I want to see corridors selected that have a natural tie-in and synergy to other great things that are happening on Staten Island, including this burgeoning tech and creative industries. And I see that in some corridors here in the North Shore. So, in conclusion, and I appreciate your patience, I am very appreciative of the ongoing dialogue, the accessibility, the communication that I've had with Chairman Weisbrod and his staff. Those conversations continue. There may not be a meeting of the minds. There certainly isn't one today. There may not be one when the City Planning Commission votes. There may not be one when Councilmember Matteo and his colleagues vote. But we continue to talk, and I think that's important. So I'm very appreciative of his professionalism and his accessibility. But at the end of the day, our job as elected officials is to ensure that this community continues to be that quality of life that has attracted Staten Islanders, has kept them here, and has attracted them over the last few decades. And at this point in time, I'm not confident that these initiatives will do that or will not harm that. And that's why I will be voting no and am respectful and understanding of why the community boards, who may have voted no for other reasons than the ones I've articulated, but have voted no as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Matteo, would you
Yes.
like to?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Borough President. I want to begin by questioning a few of the points made by the Borough President. And one is, we have a unique character on Staten Island. And when I ran for the council seat, I promised that I would preserve that character of my district. And while I know that these proposals at this point may not impact my district, I am not willing to take a chance that it won't in the future. What we have fought for, and ever since I became in government in 2004, and in this room, watching the Growth Management Task Force preserve the quality of life for Staten Island and stopping rampant overdevelopment, and that came from our local leaders, our elected officials, our community neighbors, who wants to preserve the quality of life for Staten Island. No one knows Staten Island better than we do. And I cannot take a chance on any proposal that looks for any type of mandatory housing without our local input. I share the Borough President's vision on senior housing. We have a senior housing development moving forward in my district in Farm Colony, but that was after years and months of getting the right project and having local concerns, understanding our infrastructure, or quite frankly, our lack thereof. On a daily basis, I go and I continue, just like everyone in this room, every community leader, community board leader, obviously our Borough President, my colleagues, we fight for infrastructure to deal with flooding, that every time it rains, there's a flood. Our lack of mass transit options. I am not willing to support proposals that don't have adequate parking, that don't have the Staten Island needs, which I believe as its focus. We have to ensure that we have
our local input, local control in these types. And I can never support proposals that don't take that into effect. I don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. We are, as I said before, extremely unique. I will continue to fight to ensure that as we rebuild the East Shore from Sandy, that's the same approach. We know what's best for our communities. We will continue to advocate for that, and I think that these proposals takes away our ability to decide what's best for our neighborhood. So for those reasons, and I have a strong opposition to the proposals, and I wanted to make sure that I'm here to make sure that I will continue to fight for our local input, our local control, and that my district and the rest of Staten Island, the unique needs are met, and our direction comes from Staten Island. So thank you.
Thank you. Would any other members of the board like to make a statement or have a question? No? Okay, then let's move straight to the motions then. For the first motion, the proposed mandatory inclusionary housing zoning text, can I have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a
Frank
motion.
Morano?
I'd like a motion that we reject ULURP number 1600510Y, proposed mandatory inclusionary housing zoning text. I'd like to make a motion that we reject the proposal as is.
Okay, second on the motion? Nick? Okay, all in favor of the motion made by Frank?
Aye.
Councilwoman is abstaining.
Okay. Okay, 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay, on to the next one, the zoning for quality and affordability. Can I entertain a motion from the floor? Dana McGee?
In reference to the proposed zoning for quality and affordability, ZOA text amendment, ULURP number N160049CRY, be it resolved that we, the members of the Borough Board of Staten Island, reject the zoning text amendment proposed by the Mayor of the New York City Department of City Planning.
Okay, second on the motion? Nick? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Abstaining.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Rose abstaining.
Okay, 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay, now we're going to move forward. We have a resolution that I'm going to read into the minutes. Whereas the Department of City Planning has proposed 2 citywide text amendments to facilitate Mayor de Blasio's 5-borough 10-year plan to build and preserve affordable housing through New York City, known as Zoning for Quality and Affordability, also known as ZQA, and Mandatory Inclusionary Housing, MIH. And whereas the Department of City Planning, working with the Department of Housing Preservation and Development and others, have developed these strategies to address zoning barriers thought to constrain the creation of new housing and add unnecessary cost. And whereas these amendments seek to advance a vaguely defined framework to provide citywide guidelines for affordability that do not sufficiently address how the plan might be implemented in existing healthy communities throughout the borough. And whereas these amendments seek to unilaterally address senior housing development opportunities without regard for existing neighborhood context, borough dependency on the automobile, or the character of the built environment. And whereas the long-term strategies associated with future city neighborhood planning, including much-needed infrastructure improvements, has not been addressed. And whereas the Department of City Planning has notified community boards 1, 2, and 3 regarding the ZQA-MIH text amendment applications, and as all affected community boards have overwhelmingly recommended to disapprove the proposed changes for their respective districts. Therefore, be it resolved that the Staten Island Borough Board hereby unanimously approve this resolution in opposition of the aforementioned zoning text amendment proposals. Can I have a motion to approve? Okay, Nick, seconds by Dana. Okay, can we have a vote on the motion, please, on the resolution? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Okay, 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's just move to the final business. Is there any old business for the board? Any new business? Okay, I'd like to make,
If I could
oh,
just
sorry.
if it would be appropriate, I'd like a statement from the councilwoman on her abstention. if anyone has any objections, otherwise I'd like to read.
No, go right ahead.
Into the vote, okay. This is from Councilwoman Debbie Rose on the vote tonight and her abstention. While I support the goal of making housing more affordable to meet the current needs of our residents, we cannot increase density without guarantees from the city that we will have the public transportation, school seats, hospital beds, recreation facilities, street lighting, and other infrastructure components necessary to support our district today and in the future. We have a long legacy of haphazard planning in our borough, leaving our infrastructure unable to accommodate the existing population, and we will not make those mistakes again on my watch. This is Councilwoman's watch. I will abstain from today's vote because while we must address the real housing needs for people of all income levels, I do not see sufficient commitments from the city to give these rezoning proposals my full support.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Mhm.
Will be entered into the minutes. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Nick, Frank second? Okay. Meeting is adjourned.